Hello, everyone. And before I get going on my presentation, I wanted to thank Hayden for his welcome to country and to acknowledge elders past and present. So I'm a social researcher. I've always worked on matters marine, and I'm based down in Hobart, Nipaluna, and I work at the Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies and also for the Centre for Marine Socioecology, which you may have heard of. You can think of us as your southern cousins. I'm really glad to be here. It's really exciting to be amongst such a gathering, and I'm enjoying the air conditioning. Thank you. I'm here with a very quick talk because there's not a lot of research to present. This is actually a call to action and an invitation to engage with me and the research team that's gathered around this project that I'm speaking to you about. So the project in question is one that's funded by the Queensland Government and the Fisheries Research and Development Corporation, FRDC. It's called FishLIGHT, and it's all about a transition to low impact gears in the reef as we move away from gill nets. So the movement of slides happened, right. Oh yeah, thank you. It's really obvious actually, isn't it, when you look at it? Here we go, great. So I'm sure many of you will be aware, and Diane Tart referred to the pressures that extensive fishing has had and has in the reef, and that there's actually a transition away from the use of gill nets. Under this transition arrangement from mid-2027 onwards, there will be no more gill nets, and this project is about it's a work with the Willing project to find a transition to low impact, sustainable gears for these inshore small-scale fisheries. I will just emphasise that because I think there is a narrative of fisheries as a huge pressure and threat. However, from a social perspective, they're also a provisioning activity within the reef. This project involves, as I mentioned, the move from gill nets to some alternative gears. Those alternative gears include fish traps, they're being trialled, tunnel nets, line and trap nets. And they're all being subject to some very rigorous ecological assessments. So this is, if you like, the new response to what began as the Dugong Wars that Diane referred to. And currently there are trials going on in two regions, which are two Tumara regions, within the Gurrigan and Manjabara Tumara regions. So the project obviously, or I think obviously, has really strong social dimensions, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about. It's not just about a technology, about these new types of gears for these areas, at least, these largely creeks and rivers. It's actually about people. It's fundamentally a people problem. And so I would, in the first instance, call this a socio-technological problem. Not simply a case of there's a group of existing 27 NX licensed fishers who are part of this research trial, give them new gears and away you go. It's not a set and forget exercise. Transition is inherently social. And so the role of our group is to attend to these social dimensions. Thank you, Andrea. And in doing so, we're adopting some of the principles of responsible research and innovation, which means inclusion, anticipation, reflexivity. When I think about this session we're in, what I wanted the call to action is to imagine fishers as innovators, not only as extractors. There are definitely problems they acknowledge about using these new gears, but we have this group of 27 fishers who are it's a work with a willing model, and they are really interested in understanding the future conditions that their fisheries are going to face, how these new gears are going to fit into it. And we're working through a social research program that involves as well taking a really strong behavioural approach to this. What's it going to take for those fishers to be able to adopt these new gears and find sustainable livelihoods? The next imagine I wanted to ask you to consider was that local seafood supply and consumer support for some of these less utilised species, some of these secondary species like scad, trevally and queenfish. So part of our research work is about finding out just what will local consumers accept, what will they embrace, and what kind of market interventions could be supported to see some of these secondary species, which these new types of gears are inevitably going to catch. What's that going to take? The final imagine for you all is community responsiveness. So obviously the issue of gear nets is highly charged and interacts with a lot of different kinds of community values, but it also interestingly conflicts with recreational fishers and their interest in those areas. We're working closely with cell temp data and a lot of local research providers to understand those community values and how this research project can, in fact, demonstrate that community responsiveness. So in wrapping up, thank you. That's my call to action. Please come and contact us because we'd like to see you all as collaborators. So thanks for the opportunity to talk to you about the project.